thinking about your mom.
Yeah, me too.
You have your father to lean on.
Thank you for stopping by and
and all the heart that makes a fan.
Ella McCay release date. The film is set to be released in the United States on December 12, 2025. Writer and production directed by James L. Brooks. Written by James L. Brooks. Produced by James L. Brooks. Studio Gracie Films and distributed by 20th Century. Studio's cast, key actors and roles. Emma Mackey as Ella McCay, title character. Jamie Lee Curtis as Helen McCay, Ella's aunt. Woody Harrelson as Eddie McCay, Ella's father Albert. Brooks as Governor Bill, Ella's mentor Governor Kumail. Nanjiani as Trooper Nash, Ella's security detail. Ayo Edebiri as Susan, Casey's ex-girlfriend. Jack Loudon as Ryan, Ella's husband. Rebecca Hall as Mrs. McCay, Ella's mother. Spike. Fearn as Casey McCay, Ella's younger brother. Julie Kavner as Estelle, Ella's secretary and I. Narrator, genre and language comedy. Drama, political drama, comedy. Language, English.country, United States. Premise, our plot overview. The story centers on Ella McCay, a 34-year-old idealistic lieutenant governor of an unnamed U.S. state who is unexpectedly thrust into the role of governor when her longtime mentor, Governor Bill, takes a federal cabinet position. As Ella steps into this major role, she faces both professional and personal challenges. Professionally, she must navigate state politics, step up into leadership, deal with expectations, legacy issues, and the machinery of governance. Personally, she has a complicated family, an estranged father, Eddie, a brother, Casey, whose life is drifting, an aunt, Helen, who is protective but suffocating, a husband, Ryan, feeling sidelined, and the memory of her mother, Mrs. McCay. These relationships tug at her, even as her career demands absorb her. The film explores themes of ambition, public service, the weight of legacy and expectations, family dysfunction, and the question, can someone who wants to change the system survive it and hold on to their values? Production and behind the scenes, the film marks James L. Brooks' return to feature directing after a long gap. His last directorial feature was in 2010. Filming began on February 1, 2024, in Rhode Island. The cinematographer is Robert Elswit. Music by composer Hans Zimmer. Release and strategy originally scheduled for September 19, 2025. The release was moved to December 12, 2025. The move is seen as a strategic decision by the studio to position the film for award season and the holiday window. Overview. Summary: Ella McCay is positioned as a character-driven, political dramedy, combining the intimate family dynamics and personal struggles typical of Brooks' work, for example, in terms of endearment and broadcast news, with the public spotlight of politics. The protagonist is someone who must reconcile the demands of governance with the messiness of family and personal life. The ensemble cast brings a mix of comedic and dramatic talent, and the film sets itself in a world of public service, ambition, and human connection. Ella McCay marks the long-awaited return of the legendary filmmaker James L. Brooks, whose emotionally intelligent storytelling in broadcast news, terms of endearment, and As Good as It Gets defined an era of character-driven American cinema. With Ella McCay, Brooks turns his lens toward modern politics, not the cutthroat kind defined by power and partisanship, but the deeply human world of a woman navigating the intersection of public duty and private chaos. Cast Emma Mackey as Ella McCay, a bright, earnest, and idealistic 34-year-old lieutenant governor whose life takes an abrupt turn when she is suddenly elevated to the position of state governor. Woody Harrelson as Eddie McCay, Ella's estranged father, once a powerful political voice himself, now a man wrestling with regret and relevance. Jamie Lee Curtis as Helen McCay, Ella's pragmatic but overprotective aunt, a political survivor who believes she knows what's best for everyone, especially Ella. Albert Brooks as Governor Bill, Ella's mentor, the charismatic, seasoned governor who steps down to accept a federal cabinet post, unintentionally throwing Ella into the deep end of leadership. Jack Loudon as Ryan McCay, Ella's husband, a journalist turned consultant struggling to find his place as Ella's career eclipses their marriage. Rebecca Hall as Mrs. McCay, Ella's late mother, whose legacy and memory linger like a moral compass for the family. Kumail Nanjiani as Trooper Nash, a security officer who becomes both comic relief and unexpected. Confidant to Ella Edebiri as Susan, a young campaign and staffer and Casey's ex-girlfriend. Idealistic yet disillusioned with politics. Spike Fearn as Casey McCay, Ella's younger brother, directionless but deeply sensitive, often serving as the emotional mirror to Ella's ambition. Julie Kavner as Estelle, Ella's long-serving secretary and unofficial narrator, offering warmth, humor, and perspective as the film's voice of experience. Plot, story synopsis act. The unexpected, rise Ella. McCay never intended to be governor, not yet at least. As lieutenant governor of a mid-sized U.S. state, she was content working behind the scenes, drafting policies, bridging partisan divides, and believing that good governance could still mean something. But when Governor Bill, her mentor and moral anchor, is tapped for a high-profile cabinet role in Washington, Ella suddenly finds herself sworn in as the youngest governor in the state's history. Almost overnight, she becomes the face of an administration unprepared for such rapid change. The cameras love her optimism. The headlines call her the future. But the machinery of politics, the deals, the debts, the quiet betrayals, begins to grind her down. Act 2. The public and the personal. As Ella adjusts to her new position, she confronts a web of conflicting loyalties. Her father, Ella McCay, a once famous political firebrand, criticizes her leadership in public while nursing private guilt over the family's fractured history. Her aunt Helen, herself a veteran of political life, constantly interferes, offering advice that borders on control. At home, her husband Ryan struggles with his own sense of invisibility. Their marriage, once a partnership built on shared ideals, begins to fray under the spotlight. Meanwhile, Casey, Ella's younger brother, drifts through his 20s without purpose, his quiet resentment simmering beneath the family's attempts at civility. Through it all, Estelle, her secretary and confidant, narrates with a blend of humor and wistfulness, capturing the bittersweet chaos of a woman trying to lead others while barely holding her own life together. Act 3. The Trial of Leadership. Policy crisis hits. A scandal involving corporate donors and state contracts threatens to define Ella's early tenure. The opposition smells blood. Her team fractures, and the press begins to turn. In a pivotal sequence, part political drama, part emotional confession, Ella confronts Governor Bill, now in Washington, questioning whether she's cut out for this. He tells her, "The job doesn't make you. The job just shows you what was already there." As the film reaches its climax, Ella faces a defining decision, one that pits her ideals against the survival instincts of politics. She must choose between compromise and conviction, between being liked and being true. The resolution doesn't arrive with victory, but with clarity. Ella realizes that leadership isn't about perfection or control, it's about authenticity. In the final scene, she steps before the cameras again, not as a symbol, but as herself, flawed, real, and unafraid. Them is integrity in politics. Can a person stay honest in a system designed to wear them down? Family and legacy. The shadow of parents and mentors looms large. The story explores how we inherit values and mistakes. Feminine leadership. A portrait of a woman leading not through dominance but empathy, intelligence, and resilience. Idealism versus realism. A classic Brooks motif. The collision between what we hope the world could be and what it actually is. Production. Notes filming began February 1st, 2024, in Rhode Island, which doubled for the fictional U.S. state where the story unfolds. Cinematography by Academy Award winner Robert Elswit, There Will Be Blood. Michael Clayton, capturing both the grandeur of political life and the intimacy of personal struggle. Score composed by Hans Zimmer, blending orchestral warmth with subtle political tension, a soundscape that mirrors Ella's inner conflict. Editing by Richard Marks, a longtime collaborator of Brooks' release strategy, initially slated for September 19, 2025. Ella McCay was moved to December 12, 2025, aligning with awards season, signaling 20th Century Studios' confidence in the film's Oscar potential. Its release positions it among the year's prestige dramas, blending humor, heart, and socio-political resonance. Overview. Summary: Ella McCay. Stands as a modern-day political fable, a story about the cost of caring too much in a world that rewards cynicism. Mackey leads a powerhouse ensemble under Brooks's tender, incisive direction, creating a film that's both intimate and sweeping, funny and heartfelt, idealistic yet grounded in truth.